Challenger.
Welcome guys and gals. This is your host Prince Rana, and thank you for dropping by. This video is about atheism, morality, subjective, objective and such. And I will also be responding to this dumbass Imran Hussein. Oh, where did that come from? Sidetracking just for a moment. A very good friend of mine, though he doesn't watch all my videos, he watches the security ones to tell me if I'm wrong. And the other he saw was my earlier response to Imran. And my friend's comment was, I was much more hostile than I am in real life. My first response, was I? Now watching this recent video from Imran titled Living Atheism Step by Step Guide, I realized my friend was correct. Now I have been called a sheep, stupid, indoctrinated and such. Those never bothers me. But when a religious person calls me evil just because I don't believe in his God, that does rattle me a bit. And Imran also likes to drag Richard Dawkins into his stupid videos, making false claims like Dawkins approves rape. So call me hateful, but that is how I feel towards this moron.
Now, I know there's people out there that may still hold on to the atheist label, may still associate themselves with atheism, but they are questioning it. And there'll be people out there that, recognize it's not true.
Yes, I think I will be interrupting this amount of stupidity a lot. First of all, I will stop him from mislabeling a bunch. So recognizing atheism not being true. Personally, I call myself an agnostic. Some people would classify that as a weak atheist. So what is the difference? Well, a theist is someone who believes in a deity or a god. An atheist is someone who does not believe in a god. That word originates with the Greek atheos, which is built from the roots a, meaning without, and theos, meaning a god. That is it. Now that group who does not believe can be further subdivided into two separate groups. One is those who do not believe in a god or divine being. The other group neither believes nor disbelieves. This group is called agnostic. It is not a weak position. Taking Barnett Russell's teapot example, a teapot is orbiting Mars, and it is so small that we cannot observe it even with our latest technology. Now, how do we disprove the existence of such teapot? Thus, I cannot prove the non-existence of any divine being. To Imran though, there is no difference between agnostic and atheist, which is absolutely fine. Don't take my word for it, as all his points apply to me just as much. So I can reply as an agnostic. Well, back to, how is this not true or false? Imran, do you think it is not true because we don't believe in your God? If I believed in Krishna, would my belief be also false? Now my position is simple. I rely on science and actual evidence. Not believing in your sky daddy doesn't make my position false. Quite the contrary. I would not even use the word true or false while describing a position. So the atheists that think atheism is false exist only in your dumb brain. And if we're talking about evidence, you will find that your position is incorrect.
If you believe atheism is true, do you fully follow through with your atheism? Meaning, do you acknowledge the implications of atheism? Because when you claim atheism, what you're saying is essentially is that everything is a result of, everything is an accident, essentially. It's all just one big accident, one big meaningless accident. And therefore, life has no ultimate meaning. Your existence has no meaning. The world around you has no meaning. You just have emerged and you will leave.
Once again, there is nothing to believe about atheism. Now, I don't know what this accident is that Imran is talking about. My guess is that he might be talking about Big Bang. Once again, Imran purposefully uses the wrong word. And once again, I'll call him on his bullshit. Hey Imran, The word you're meant to use is event and not accident. I am aware that at times we use that word to mean something happening by chance or that is without apparent or deliberate cause. For example, the pregnancy was an accident. But thinking of that sentence just for a moment, and we know the apparent cause. Same with evolution. We know the cause. These are not unfortunate incidents that happen unexpectedly and unintentionally because, well, for me, I'm glad that I exist. So it is not an unfortunate incident to me, nor is it for you or any living or dead being. So not an accident. Next from that, Imran connects to life has no ultimate meaning. So the child who was born from an unwanted or unplanned pregnancy, does his or her life has no meaning? How much of an ass does one have to be to imply that? Imran, guess what? None of us chooses to be born. You were born probably because your biological father had sexual intercourse with your biological mother. Out of millions of sperm, one manages to hit home. Oh, we're all so special. The chance of your existence is minuscule compared to your non-existence. And yet, here you are. Here all of us are. If we don't call that an unintentional appearance, I don't know what is. And yet, most of us find some meaning in life. So yes, everything happens even if we like it or not. The sun rises and sets, people live and die, and most of them tries to find happiness. Some finds it trying to indoctrinate others into their own brand of Sky Daddy, and some of us finds it by pointing out why you're wrong. So what other strawman argument do you have?
Well, then you will have to acknowledge this, that everything is one big meaningless accident. The question for you is, do you really acknowledge this? Following on for this, you have other questions, such as are you willing to accept that morality, that there is no objective essence to morality? It's just subjective ideas that are floating around out there that human beings hold on to. That there is nothing objectively true about killing an innocent child. It just doesn't feel right, or it's just wrong because it's subjectively wrong according to our current understanding. Do you acknowledge that atheism puts you in the position where you cannot account for objective moral values and duties?
So much dribble. No, we don't have to acknowledge that everything is one big, meaningless accident. First of all, it is not an accident. Next, what exactly does meaningless means? Is it meaningless if it does not affect me personally? Or is it meaningless if it does not affect my tribe? I'll give a very crude example. Imran, in all honesty, if tomorrow you cease to exist, that would make zero difference to me. One can say that it is meaningless, but it is a big but. I don't wish that happening to you. I do not like you as a human being, but yet I do care about your existence as a human being. See how easy it is to care about something that doesn't personally affect me? I care about exploring the universe, though it may not benefit me, my child, or my child's child. If I didn't, I would be having a narrow mind like you. Next is all the confabulation using subjective and objective crap. Okay, Imran, once again I will explain to you why you're wrong. You should get used to it by now. In all my life as an agnostic, I never once stopped and tried to analyze if my decision is subjective or objective. I do like to think that mostly my decisions are based on logic. But to categorize it on those two terms, well, what do those really mean? Subjective is based on personal opinions, interpretations, point of view, emotions, and such, whereas objective is fact-based, measurable, and observable. Now, killing an innocent child. Well, I'm sure I personally don't need that qualifier innocent. Even an evil child should not be killed. Is that a morality question to begin with? After that, we can talk about if it is subjective or objective. We understand morality is the principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong or good and bad. One example I love to use is, if you could go back in time, would you kill baby Hitler? Now, just a little while ago, I said even an evil child should not be killed, and I'm sticking with it. But if someone agrees with killing baby Hitler, I would understand. So what are the principles behind killing a child that makes the distinction for it to be a moral question? Well, morality is about fairness, right? What is fair? If we think it through, there can be only one morality. When something is fair, by definition, everything else cannot be as fair or as moral. There cannot be a morality for any group of people by any categorization, because by isolating that group, we're ignoring every other group, and that is just not fair. But we do have group morality. May it be based on religion, union, family, literally any group. And using those morality, some of you Muslims can go about beating your wife while reciting Surah An-Nisa. Imran, you have a lovely Arabic accent. Would you please do the honor and recite it for us? True morality is a set of guidelines that applies to every individual and is in keeping with each individual's relationship to all the other individuals. Well, then I suppose killing a child is a moral question. Okay. Well, is it only because we feel bad? Well, yes, some of us do feel bad, but something can be objective and subjective at the same time. How is this objective? Well, our society is based on reciprocation. I scratch your back and you scratch my back. We know what would happen if we'd go willy-nilly and kill off others' offspring. We have seen it happen in our human history. Can we measure it? Well, I guess if we allow this to happen, maybe we can draw a chart and see when we all cease to exist. So yes, it is objective. Imran, do you understand how that works? Most laws of our society is based on fact. A lot of us do not steal, not because we think it is bad, but because we are afraid to get caught and thrown to prison. Most of us don't go around beheading people just because they drew something, because subjectively we think it is bad. Some Muslims don't because of objective and being thrown to prison. And then we have some that says damn to all, because my morality says I'm doing God's work. And you want to talk to us atheists about morality? How dare you? And no, I do not acknowledge that atheism puts me in the position where I cannot account for objective moral values and duties. I just proved you wrong.
It's maybe time you really ask yourself, are you an atheist? Do you truly believe it's true then?
Yes, I heard your dribble. And I'm an agnostic. And it is not about true or false. Your God has no proof. I don't believe in imaginary things like God, flat earth, ghost, and such.
Broaden your horizons. Meaning, most atheists, or most atheists who sort of incline towards a naturalistic type of atheism, they have been led to believe that science, for example, science is the only way to truth. It's the only solid, substantial way we can know about the world and reality.
What a surprise. Not. Don't do the things that proves our religion wrong. That would be just silly. At least he doesn't say do your own research. Now Imran, you're wrong once again. This time due to your lack of understanding of what science is. From a simple definition of the intellectual and practical activity encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. To a more detailed, science is the pursuit and application of knowledge and understanding of the natural and social world following a systematic methodology based on evidence. By definition, there is nothing to believe. No one is led to believe anything. Someone observed things fall towards ground, then that someone thought more about it and gave us some equation. We then tested those equations and came to the same conclusion. Another crude example. Do we believe sun rises on the east? Is believe really the correct word?
But when it comes to other realities, such as existential questions that we have, such as morals and ethics, that understand that science is not going to be useful in those spheres. You have to look at alternative routes to knowledge.
To me, reality is the state of things as they actually exist. At times, I may be completely convinced that I am making the screw turn by itself, only using my mind. Now that reality exists only in my mind, and not really real? So what are other realities? Now we do use alternate reality as a synonym for a parallel universe, so I would leave it alone. We do have a field that discusses existentialism, and that is philosophical inquiry. Did Imran just not give us a hard time about subjective information? Existential is as subjective as it can get. It is all about why I am here, which God created me. How about the question, how are we like the way we are? If we only stuck to alternate knowledge, we would be believing that Adam and Eve got kicked out of heaven, and somehow from their kids, they managed to populate the earth. Let's not talk about the incest. Some religion would have you believe at a young earth, all the fossils are left there by God as the ultimate prankster is playing a joke. At times, people do move towards God. The greatest poet of Bangladesh, Kazi Nazrul Islam, turned to God when his son fell ill, and all the treatments failed. It would have been a happy story if the son would miraculously got better. At times, as human beings, we need understanding. We may be pushed so far into the darkness that we need some kind of light, some power that truly loves us. If we believe it enough, if we want it enough, we can even feel it. That is all good, but facts and feelings are not the same thing. This is the part where I would explain that even if Abraham God was real, I want to have nothing to do with him. I would be going on a rant calling him names, but I have already done it on an earlier video. Why be an atheist/agnostic? Going away from God to science and logic. Link in description if you want to check it out. Well, that is all the rant I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching and sticking till the end. And I'm sorry for getting angry. But when someone calls us evil and we have stopped eating babies, it just makes me mad. If you have enjoyed this content, please like, comment and share it with friends and families. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. It would help my channel grow and bring more content to you. Thank you once again. Wherever you are, have a safe day. Signing off.
We are one people, and we, like you, we are one tribe.